Uh, well, we have it, and it's not the easiest. So we've done it before, but it's really syncopated. So, so we do need to practice it. So, anyway, okay. Well, we'll start this week. We're continuing on from where we were last week. The Northern Kingdom has been taken, or they've been destroyed or obliterated by the Assyrians. In the meantime, Isaiah has shifted his ministry from the north to the south now, warning them that if you don't wise up, that the same things can happen to you. Hezekiah is the king of the south at this moment. He's a really, really good king. But there's something with the people, something going on with the people that even though the leadership or the king seems to be really, really good, the people still aren't all that good. So something's going on. But during Hezekiah's time frame, he reestablished some of the writings and things. He kind of collated them together and found some proverbs that hadn't been put out yet, and some psalms. So we're going over some of the proverbs that he made known to the people. So that's kind of where we're at. We're starting in Proverbs 28, and we're actually going to finish Proverbs today. And they're not all Proverbs of Solomon when we start there, but we go into some Proverbs of other people too. So, and then we'll be going into Isaiah 18 as Isaiah continues his ministry. So let me go ahead and share our screen. Click the button.
Is Isaiah 1?
No. We're past that. We're in Isaiah 18. Remember, Isaiah wasn't. First Isaiah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll mention more about that here in just a second. Yeah, what she's asking or what she's mentioning is Isaiah, depending on which scholars you talk to, is divided into either 2 or 3 sections. And it has to do with when they believe that part of Isaiah was actually written. So first Isaiah typically goes from Isaiah chapter 1 through Isaiah 39. And that's first Isaiah. Then you've got, depending on which scholars you talk about, you can either break it into a second part called, which is second Isaiah, which will be Isaiah 40 through 66. Now, some scholars will actually split that and go Isaiah 40 through 54 and then 55 through 66. Because what happens is that Isaiah chapter 40 through 54 seems to be after the exile. Those believed to be after they come back from exile, whereas Isaiah 55 through 66 seems to be during the exile. So there are different scholars will argue over which sections of Isaiah fit where, but it's almost established that Isaiah's chapter 1 through chapter 39 were written contemporarily during the time of Isaiah. So, okay. So now that we've got the prayer group in here, we thought maybe y'all were praying really, really hard.
Yeah.
So
You had a whole bunch on your list.
So we're gonna continue on with Proverbs 28. These are proverbs that Hezekiah added to the books while he was king. Verse 1: the wicked flee when no one pursues, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. Ooh, that's nice. When a land rebels, it has many rulers, but with an intelligent person, honesty endures. Now, you think that it seems to be comparing rebels with intelligent people, don't it?
No, I think it's contrasting.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. The compare contrast. In honesty with having many rulers, or contrast.
No. Honesty would only have one rule.
Well,
Integrity.
yeah. Okay. A poor person who oppresses the poor is a beating rain that leaves no food.
A poor person who oppresses other poor people.
Those who forsake the law praise the wicked, but those who keep the law struggle against It's not easy being cheesy. The evil do not understand justice, but those who seek the Lord understand it completely. Well, I seek the Lord and I don't understand it completely, but we try. We definitely try. Better to be poor and walk in integrity than to be crooked in one's ways, even though rich. I don't know anybody like that in the news. Those who keep the law are wise children, but companions of gluttons shame their parents. Okay. Yeah, that verse 2, when a land rebels, it has many rulers, but with an intelligent person, honesty endures. I ran across, while I was studying for all this, I ran across an Arabic curse that, when translated in English, says, "May God make your sheiks many." Which right, yeah. I hope you end up in rebellion. Anyway. One who augments wealth by exorbitant interest gathers it for another who is kind to the poor.
What?
Yeah, it's kind of weird, ain't it?
Is it for?
This kind of talks about the parable of the unwise servant or whatever. I can't remember the exact name of the parable, but it where the master forgives the one servant, but then that servant goes out and throws somebody who owes him money in jail. It's similar to that, not exact, but I've got numbers on there. And basically, Levitical law, well, not even Levitical law, Jewish law allowed for people to charge 30% interest on things, but they had to charge 0 for family. They couldn't charge interest for family. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw it. When one will not listen to the law, even one's prayers are an abomination. Oh, that's tough. Those who mislead the upright into evil ways will fall into pits of their own making, but the blameless will have a goodly inheritance. And that is in several places. Matthew 5, which is the Beatitudes, 18 and 23, which are parables. The rich is wise in self-esteem, but an intelligent poor person sees through the pose. Okay. When the righteous rejoice, there is great glory, but when the wicked prevail, people go into hiding. No one who conceals transgressions will prosper, but one who confesses and forsakes them will obtain mercy. It's easier to tell the truth than it is to keep building on lies. Happy is the one who is never without fear, but one who is hard-hearted will fall into calamity. Never without fear.
Can't be happy and hard-hearted. Can't be happy and hard-hearted.
Well, you'd think that.
Well,
their happiness is given by, it's based on a lie. Like a roaring lion or a charging bear is a wicked ruler over a poor people. Yeah, we've seen that in history. A ruler who lacks understanding is a cruel oppressor, but one who hates unjust gain will enjoy a long life. If someone is burdened with the blood of another, let that killer be a fugitive until death. Let no one offer assistance. Well, now I do want to say that word burdened, of course that's a plural or the past tense, but the word burden and the word remember we'll get into Isaiah a little bit, but the word burden and the word oracle are similar. They're very similar words, except burden is a verb and oracle is a noun. So if you were to change burden into a noun, to have a burden, but to burden someone. Anyway, they're the same word. I just thought one who walks in integrity will be safe, but whoever follows crooked ways will fall into the pit. Yeah, there's that pit again. That's not a good thing. Anyone who tills the land will have plenty of bread, but one who follows worthless pursuits will have plenty of poverty. The faithful will abound with blessings, but one who is in a hurry to be rich will not go unpunished. To show partiality is not good, yet for a piece of bread, a person may do wrong.
They do wrong.
Did I say that? May do wrong.
Be wrong. That's-
Oh, yeah, well, that too. The miser is in a hurry to get rich and does not know that loss is sure to come. Whoever rebukes a person will afterward find more favor than one who flatters with the tongue. Anyone who robs father or mother and says, that is no crime, is partner to a thug. The greedy person stirs up strife, but whoever trusts in the Lord will be enriched. Those who trust in their own wits are fools, but those who walk in wisdom come through safe. Doesn't say easily, but they come through safe. Whoever gives to the poor will lack nothing, but one who turns a blind eye will get many a curse. When the wicked prevail, people go into hiding. We heard that a while ago, didn't we? But when they perish, the righteous increase. It's kind of like, you're right. There is I'll pause there for a minute. In the book of the Acts of the Apostles, there's a story about Peter and John being thrown in prison, and for like the second time they had been thrown in there because they were preaching the gospel, and the Pharisees didn't like that, so they come together and okay, we'll let you go this time, but don't preach that message. And they immediately go out and start preaching again. Well, they get thrown in prison again. And at this point, they're meeting again. Well, what are we going to do to them? You know what? We're going to have to kill them too. And Gamaliel, who we find out later happens to be one of the teachers of Paul, the Apostle Paul. Gamaliel, a leader of the Pharisees, he basically tells his group of people, look, if their message is really from God, there's nothing we can do to stop that. If we kill them, somebody else will just pick up the mantle and keep going with it. But if it's not from God, it's actually die out. So, it's not our place to, just let them go. So that's kind of what that's saying. When the wicked prevail, people go into hiding. When they perish, like the So if it's gonna die out, then something else will increase just due to the nature of the Okay, now we're on to chapter 29. One who is often reproved yet remains stubborn will suddenly be broken beyond healing. That one's tough. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked rule, the people groan. A child who loves wisdom makes a parent glad, but a companion of prostitutes destroys wealth. That is a weird contrast. By justice, a king gives stability to the land, but one who makes heavy exactions ruins it. That is almost, it's funny that comes from Solomon. But is that Solomon or Agur? Maybe we're in Agur. Anyway, remember that the kingdom split due to increased taxation. Solomon had been having the north, had everybody pay taxes, and he was really kind of unfair to the people that lived in the 10 tribes to the north. So when Solomon died and his son Rehoboam becomes king, Jeroboam, who is in charge of all the people, all the workers who come from the north, they go and say, look, Solomon, he was a great king, but the tax was a little bit heavy. Can you lighten it up maybe? Or Rehoboam, instead of listening to his elder counselors, listens to his friends, and they say, this is the perfect opportunity for you to get rich, guy. And so instead of lightening the load, he increases the taxes. And that's where the split came, is taxation. And I find it neat, if this is Solomon saying this, that would eventually be what causes the split. So Whoever flatters a neighbor is spreading a net for the neighbor's feet. That's kind of a weird one, ain't it?
Yeah.
Really, that is, the intent there, we think anyway, or I think, is that it is insincere flattery.
Okay.
In the transgression of the evil, there is a snare, but the righteous sing and rejoice. See, that is the perfect commercial for joining the choir. The righteous sing and rejoice. So if you're singing in the choir, you're not righteous.
They didn't say that.
Yeah, I know. But
Written in the same-
that's what that guy, that Doyle Simpson guy I mentioned last week, that's what he would have said, but it doesn't say that. The righteous know the rights of the poor. The wicked have no such understanding. Scoffers set a city aflame, but the wise turn away wrath. If the wise go to law with fools, there is ranting and ridicule without relief. The bloodthirsty hate the blameless, and they seek the life of the upright. A fool gives full vent to anger, but the wise quietly holds it back. That holds it back is literally stills the storm. Where do we see that in the New Testament? Jesus, yeah. If a ruler listens to a falsehood, all his officials will be wicked. That's kind of a weird one because that's not exactly what happened with the South. There were kings that listened to bad things, but some of the priests really still followed what they were supposed to. So the poor and the oppressor have this in common. The Lord gives light to the eyes of both. Ooh.
Huh.
It's kind of interesting. I guess we just have to decide whether to look using the light or hiding. If a king judges the poor with equity, his throne will be established forever. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a mother is disgraced by a neglected child. When the wicked are in authority, transgression increases, but the righteous will look upon their downfall, meaning the righteous will come away in the end. Good will always prevail. Discipline your children, and they will give you rest. They will give delight to your heart. Literally, revelation and nakedness. Reveal things to your children. Or I'm trying to think which word, discipline. I think it's the rest word, not discipline. And they will give you revelation. It's the same word in this particular case. And they will give delight. That would be nakedness. They'll bear open your heart. Where there is no prophecy, the people cast off restraint, but happy are those who keep the law. By mere words, slaves are not disciplined, for though they understand, they will not give heed. That's kind of because we get a different understanding in the New Testament about being slaves to Christ, and so slaves to Christ will receive punishment because they. Do you see someone who is hasty in speech? There is more hope for a fool than for anyone like that. A slave pampered from childhood will come to a bad end.
These are not statement contrasts, they're just statements.
Yeah. Each verse or sometimes you'll get two verses in a row that kind of fit, but yeah, they're all one-offs. Just like a stand-up comedian who does like Stephen Wright. He's a comedian of one-liners. Nothing really follows the next. One given to anger stirs up strife, and the hothead causes much transgression. That word anger there it literally means snorting nostrils. So one given to snorting nostrils stirs up strife. That gives a whole new look on it, doesn't it? A person's pride will bring humiliation, but one who is lowly in spirit will obtain honor. Now that's similar to the Beatitudes. To be a partner of a thief is to hate one's own life. One hears the victim's curse, but discloses nothing. Ooh,
That's all.
that's like being an accomplice. Yeah, you're just as guilty. The fear of others lays a snare, but one who trusts in the Lord is secure. Many seeks the favor of a ruler, but it is from the Lord that one gets justice. Oh. The unjust are an abomination to the righteous, but the upright are an abomination to the wicked. Well, duh. Okay, on to chapter 30. This is where we get the words of Agur, son of Jakeh. Agur, we know nothing about other than this. Jakeh, we know nothing about other than this. So it is what it is. There's that word in oracle. Oracle, that's the same word as burden, a burden. Thus says the man, I am weary, O God. I am weary, O God, and am wasting away. Surely I am too stupid to be human. I do not have human understanding. I have not learned wisdom, nor have I knowledge of the holy ones. Who has ascended to heaven and come down? Who has gathered the wind in the hollow of the hand? Who has wrapped up the waters in a garment? Who has established all the ends of the earth? Well, we all know the answer to those questions, right? Because almost each of those is either talked about or done during Jesus' ministry. What is the person's name? And what is the name of the person's child? Surely you know. I will say there are scholars out there that insist that this particular section, 1 through 4, verses 1 through 4, are specifically talking about God the Father and God the Son. What is the person's name? What is the name of the person's child? So I will say it's just it's just an oracle. Maybe, it's a vision of some sort. Maybe he has seen it, maybe not. Every word of God proves true. He is a shield to those who take refuge in him. Do not add to his words, lest he rebuke you and you be found a liar. 2 things I ask of you. Do not deny them to me before I die. First, remove far from me falsehood and lying, and give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with the food that I need, lest I be full, not food, full, and deny you and say, who is the Lord? Or I be poor and steal and profane the name of my God. Do not slander a servant to a master, lest the servant curse you and you be held guilty. There are those who curse their fathers and do not bless their mothers. There are those who are, so that's kind of a statement of, there are those who actually speak out and curse to a parent, but there's others that they curse them under their breath. By not offering a blessing, you bring down a curse. So it's kind of that. Some you speak, some you hold back, but they mean the same thing. There are those who are pure in their own eyes, yet are not cleansed of their filthiness. There are those, how lofty are their eyes, how high their eyelids lift. There are those whose teeth are swords, whose teeth are knives to devour the poor from off the earth, the needy from among mortals. The leech has 2 daughters. Give, they cry. It's like, give me, give me. 3 things are never satisfied. 4 never say, enough. Sheol, the barren womb, the earth ever thirsty for water, and a fire that never says enough. So those are the 3 things. 3 things are never satisfied, and 4 never say enough. 3 things are Sheol, the barren womb, and the earth ever thirsty for water. And then fire that never says. Think of that. The eye that mocks a father and scorns to obey a mother will be pecked out by the ravens of the valley and eaten by the vultures. That sounds like an episode of The Walking Dead. 3 things are too wonderful for me. Four, I do not understand. So the three things are the way of an eagle in the sky, the way of a snake on a rock, the way of a ship on the high seas, and the fourth is and the way of a man with a woman. Now, that's like saying the love, the all-consuming love that a couple has for one another. So we've got in the Greek, we've got two words that really you argue about what that can mean. Eros, which is that intimate love that couples share, but porneia, which is where we get the word pornography, is a form of lust. It's lust rather than love. So that's the fourth that he doesn't understand. This is the way of an adulteress. She eats and wipes her mouth and says, I have done no wrong. Yeah. She's just, yeah, she does it for a living, make a living. Under three things, the earth trembles. Under four, it cannot bear up. A slave, this is the first, a slave when he becomes king, and a fool when gutted with food. A typical woman when she gets a husband. And then the fourth, and a maid when she supplants her mistress. So, yeah, a fool when glutted with food is a leader who doesn't. Okay. And then a maid that supplants her mistress, she takes over the wife. Four things on earth are small, yet they are exceedingly wise. The three things, the ants are a people without strength, yet they provide their food in the sun. The badgers are a people without power, yet they make their homes in the rocks. The locusts have no king, yet all of them march in rank. And in the fourth, the lizard can be grasped in the hand, yet it is found in king's palaces. Some, instead of lizard, say spider. So some translations say spider. Three things are stately in their stride. Four are stately in their gait. So stride here meaning running, gait meaning kind of walking or a fast walk kind of thing. The lion, which is mightiest among wild animals and does not turn back before any. Some will say greyhound instead of lion. I don't know why that. The strutting rooster. Okay. The he goat. That's the third. And a king against whom none can stand. If you have been foolish, exalting yourself, or if you have been devising evil, put your hand on your mouth. Yeah, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say it at all. For as pressing milk produces curds, and pressing the nose produces blood. Punching, yeah. So pressing anger produces strife. That just makes sense,
Yeah.
Okay, on to chapter 31. This is the last chapter in Proverbs. And we get the words of King Lemuel. We have no idea who King Lemuel is. Neither do we know who his mother was. The words of King Lemuel, an oracle that his mother taught him. So remember this is his mother speaking, not really Lemuel. So, no, my son, no son of my womb, no son of my bowels, do not give strength to women, your ways to those who destroy kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine or for rulers to desire strong drink, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed and pervert the rights of all the afflicted. Give strong drink to one who is perishing and wine to those in bitter distress. Let them drink and forget their poverty and remember their misery no more. Yeah. What would y'all think if I was to tell y'all that?
I think his mother was a drunkard.
Speak out for those who cannot speak, for the rights of all the destitute. Speak out, judge righteously, defend the rights of the poor and needy. A woman of strength, who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from far away. She rises while it is still night and provides food for her household and tasks for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. She girds herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. I'll stop there for just a moment and say, We don't know who King Lemuel is, neither do we know his mother. There are some scholars, a minority, that believe this is actually Bathsheba giving instruction to her son Solomon. But there's no way to,
No proof.
like I said, it's a minority. She puts her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid for her household when it snows. All her household are clothed in crimson. Crimson here means doubled, meaning that they're warm. They've got plenty of clothing. Yeah. She makes herself coverings. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the city gates, taking his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She supplies the merchant with sashes. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well in the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children, eating the bread of idleness means that she's not lazy.
Okay.
Her children rise up and call her happy. Her husband too, and he praises her. Many women have done excellent. You surpass them all.
Doesn't 28 sometimes say rise up and call her blessed?
Some. Charm is deceitful. I'm using the NRSV, so. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Ron. I'm just telling you. Arlen.
Yes. I'm all over.
Yeah. Give her a share in the fruit of her hands and let her works praise her in the city gates. Okay, so I only put this here. I can send this out to y'all. I thought about printing it off, but there are 54 different psalms here that were collected during Hezekiah's. So some of them are attributed to David that weren't written down before. Basically, he added to the hymn book. Okay, so just thought I'd tell you. We're not going to read any of them. I just thought I'd tell you. But yeah, there's 54 of them.
Nothing.
Because they don't show up until the timing of Hezekiah. After the exile, when Nehemiah and Ezra, when they come back, they find the book of the law and they find these other things. And in that, they determined that these were things that were not with the book of the law prior to that they were then. So even another 150 years after this, I will say that there probably can't be 100% proof, but they're pretty sure.
And just
Okay. Now we're going back to Isaiah, that first word there, woe. So Isaiah 18, that was, Ismi was the name of Isaiah's horse because he keeps saying, woe Ismi.
well,
That's horse racing in the Bible.
Horse racing. Isaiah chapter 18, he's preaching to the south now. Whoa, well, he's preaching to everybody around the south. Woe, land of buzzing wings beyond the rivers of Cush, sending ambassadors by the Nile and vessels of papyrus on the waters. Go, you swift messengers, to a nation tall and smooth, to a people feared near and far, a nation mighty and conquering, whose land the rivers divide. All of you who inhabit the world, you who live on the earth, when a signal is raised on the mountains, look. When a trumpet is blown, listen, for thus the Lord said to me, I will quietly look for my dwelling like a clear heat in sunshine, like a cloud of dew in the heat of harvest. For before the harvest, when the blossom is over and the flower becomes a ripening grape, he will cut off the shoots with pruning hooks and the spreading branches he will hew away. Cush, by the way, is that area around Egypt that includes Egypt, Ethiopia, Sudan, and Somalia. And this would have been taking place, what he's talking about here would have been taking place around 715 to 633 BCE. So it was just that area of Cush was kind of a union, if you will, of peoples. Mainly the Ethiopians were in charge.
The Ethiopian that Philip baptized was a Cushite.
I'll get, it's the last note on this next page here. They shall all be left to the birds of prey of the mountains and to the animals of the earth. And the birds of prey will summer on them, and all the animals of the earth will winter upon them. Yeah, it means they're not going to exist after a while. At that time, gifts will be brought to the Lord of hosts from a people tall and smooth, from a people feared near and far, a nation mighty and conquering, whose land the rivers divide, to Mount Zion, the place, the name of the Lord of hosts. Now we get that story of in Acts 8 of Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch, and so it comes to fruition during then. You know, you could say that this is a prophecy of that particular moment, but I don't think that. But I will say that Coptic Jews or Coptic Christians, which is a sect of Christianity that exists in that Egyptian area, Ethiopian area, is really, really strong, and they're very adamant about their faith. In fact, there are some that believe that the Ark of the Covenant, that the Coptic Christians have secured it somewhere in the Ethiopian area because it's never been found. I think it's stored away in a U.S. government vault somewhere in a storehouse that Indiana Jones happened to find it. Maybe. Yeah. I will say I personally, I know this speaks to the evangelical side of me, but I've told y'all that unless you can show me something to just absolutely prove it otherwise, it's going to be hard for me to switch my thinking. I don't think the Ark of the Covenant is present on earth. I think I think number one that it could have been a physical thing then, but it just doesn't exist now, and now there's a spiritual aspect to it. But I personally believe it'll be present at judgment. I mean, that's what it was for. That's what it was for. So. The Sudanese, the Somalians.
Smooth.
Well, it's just like saying all Americans are white and chubby.
Body.
Yeah.
There's certain peoples that do not have a lot of hair on the body.
Also, I complimented one lady on how smooth her skin was. This elder lady that I was doing it with, and her daughter was there, and they happened to be African American. And her daughter said, "Ain't you heard black don't crack?" So, it's smooth.
I haven't heard that.
Smooth skin. They don't have wrinkles as much as we do.
Well, oil and sometimes can protect skin. So if you're in an arid land, but you think the same thing about Israelis too at the same time. So I don't know why I would make that difference, but just anyway, we're at a stopping point. Next week, we've got an oracle concerning Egypt. Then we've been, another oracle concerning Egypt, and then Egypt, Assyria, and Israel are blessed. I wonder how that works. Isaiah dramatizes the conquest of Egypt and Cush. There are oracles concerning Babylon, Edom, and Arabia. A warning of destruction of Jerusalem. Denunciation of self-seeking officials. That kind of goes with the warning of destruction of Jerusalem. And then an oracle concerning Tyre. Tyre. You remember Tyre and Sidon? We'll get into that next week. But y'all know what famous person was from Tyre?
I don't even know where it's at.
She really made things bad for some of the prophets.
Oh, Jezebel.
Jezebel. Yeah. God's not done with her people yet.
He's tired of.
So anyway, let me stop share here. Are there any questions or concerns? Where's my mouse cursor? There it is. Okay. Any questions or concerns in today? No? Okay.
I'm concerned
Everybody.
about who's figuring it out.
Well,